And another piece with the nutrition is what they've found, studies have found, is that, any diet, any type of diet can work, like whether it's paleo or keto, high carb, low carb, any diet can work as long as basic nutritional requirements are met.
Hello, welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle. This is James Cox, and we're in episode number 50. We've made it to 5-0. Today we have a special guest from Vancouver area, and this is Miss Sabrina Bliem. Sabrina has the Karate Shrimp podcast, as well as the Karate Shrimp is the YouTube channel. And today we're going to dive a little deeper into health, nutrition, fitness, the mindset, ways to have the martial arts more, even on an adult level, with as a good positive outlet to improve yourself and to deal with struggles. And Sabrina has an interesting story. So if you would like, Mel, maybe you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about this journey you've had.
For sure. Thank you. And thank you for having me on here, Grandmaster James. I'm totally honored to be a guest. So I started martial arts when I was 41. This was 5.5-ish years ago. I'm 47 now. And actually, the start of my martial arts journey was in my 20s. I tried Tai Chi for a few months, but I don't really consider that the true beginning. So martial arts, when I started karate, I was really struggling. I was going through this really difficult period of time. My mom had been diagnosed with cancer the year before, and I had lost my dad as a kid, and so it was bringing up a lot of tough stuff for me. And I went through about a year of struggling with grief and, feeling overwhelmed and depressed and, in shock and angry and all the different feelings you go through. And my kids were also going through a hard time. My youngest was struggling with shyness, and my oldest was being bullied in school. And I came across the website for the dojo that we started at, and I thought this could be a really good fit for all of us, for me with my grief and my kids with their struggles. And we all tried karate the same day, and we all fell in love with it that day. Karate, and a few months later, I started training in Kobudo and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu at the same dojo, and I joined the tournament team, and I was competing all the time. And then a while later, I actually got a job working as an assistant instructor at the dojo. So karate changed my life. It reminded me of my strength, and made me realize how strong I actually was. And it also made me stronger, and it toughened me up and helped me build that resilience. And having that outlet was so valuable to me, where I was struggling so much with all these feelings and feeling really lost in my life, and due to other reasons, things I was going through. My marriage was falling apart. I've been through a divorce recently, and so all this heavy stuff was happening, and I could go to the dojo and feel lighthearted again. I felt like a kid again. I could laugh again. And I discovered that I'm actually quite athletic, and I never was. I always hated gym in school, and I was never really good at that stuff. And I found something that brought me joy and helped, gave me all these connections with all these really cool people. And I developed this, new family, and I felt like I found my place. So martial arts has been really pivotal in helping me work through all the tough stuff in my life and kind of find me again when I was going through a hard time and losing my sense of self.
That's great, Sabrina. So you were able to find a positive outlet, something that is constructive, and just imagine all the people that would do the opposite. I know I've seen it, you've seen it, we hear about it every day. And
Absolutely.
Then they find what is negative, what is a destructive path that can change or ruin their life, for the worse. And that helped you through the struggle and through the pain, right? How did you see those things benefit you?
Well, yeah, like part of it, I think, is having a physical outlet. Physical outlet really helps us with stress, right? Like it's that immediate dispersal of adrenaline, but also with martial arts, it's, when you go into the ring to fight somebody, you're inviting pain into your life on purpose. You're going in there knowing you're going to get hit, knowing you're going to possibly get injured, you're possibly going to experience suffering from injuries, and you go in there willingly, and you learn with practice, and over time you learn that you can handle it. You trust yourself to handle that. And I find that, being able to invite pain into our life on purpose in this controlled setting can ripple out to the rest of our lives, and we realize that we can handle all of that other pain in our life as well.
Good point. Yeah, no, that's very true. Makes me think of some David Goggins type stuff, right? But inviting pain into your life, dealing with the struggles, some extremes, but it's still safe and controlled somewhat,
Exactly.
in
Exactly.
that atmosphere. You have a lot of unpredictableness to deal with when you do that. You don't know maybe their strengths. If you're fighting someone for the first time, they're a different style of martial arts.
Yeah.
So to get in there and just say go, right? Just to go for it. Yeah,
Absolutely. And
it's
it's,
good.
yeah, it's that uncertainty, and we are facing our fears and insecurities again and again. And, it's that, moving out of your comfort zone, right? That, that diagram with this is your comfort zone and you move out of it. And that's where the growth happens, right? When you can push yourself and into a place of uncertainty and fear and face that, that's when we really grow and improve.
And we need to do it. We need to do it now, right? I mean, what are we waiting for? The next life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so many
do it.
people, they want to try martial arts and like, yeah, just do it. Just do it. Like you're gonna feel scared at first. You're gonna feel stupid. You're gonna make mistakes, right? And but it's so amazing. It's such an amazing pursuit.
Yeah. And then you tried, you have less regret. You're not living with the, I could have, I should have. I always
Exactly.
wanted to. Well, why not? Kind of makes me think of, well, someone told me one time, I think it was John Hackelman actually. And then when I talked to my class, and, we have people that are competing, amateur, some professional, we have students that are just there. They're just there for the hobby. That maybe they have another way. It's a positive outlet for them, physical fitness, self defense, social belonging.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like for me, I never really had something before where I felt like I fit in, and martial arts was that first thing. It was like, I feel like these people get me, we're all a little bit dorky and weird and we're a
Yeah.
little crazy, but it's such an amazing, you build such amazing connections with these people and they do become family 100%.
Hmm.
And that trust, like when you're getting physical with somebody, you build such an incredible amount of trust with them, right? You're hitting each other and then you still love each other at the end of it, and it's such a cool connection there, that community.
Yeah, it's chemistry, right? Everyone gets the partners and the people that they want to drill self defense with or spar with, but then also you get to work with a variety of the other people and on the same common goal. You're there to help each other. You're there to feel good and progress in your martial arts training.
And
Yeah,
it's that
it's a
that
good
rough and
thing.
tumble play, right? Like like us growing up, we played outside all the time. You wrestle with your friends and whatever, and now kids don't have that same type of upbringing, right? Like they're kind of isolated and protected a little bit from it, and online too much. And it's like martial arts is so great for kids, right? Where it's like, no, it's okay to wrestle on a mat. It's good for you, right? You can be really good friends with this person even when you're fighting, right? It's so good for us to have that physicality, I think, that contact.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We all go to the martial arts school to feel good at the end of the day. We might not know necessarily why, and it might change throughout the years. If your goal was to be a competitor or to just lose a little bit of weight. I know that you have some good education and understanding on the whole health and fitness, diet, nutrition, that sense of well being in martial arts. And I think a lot of that is missed out on at least the older martial artists. I think now because of UFC, you see martial artists that are professional athletes, and they might have, a nutritionalist. They might have someone helping them with their diet and the things they need to do and not need to do. But early on, that wasn't that wasn't available, at least, as easily. So, what's some tips and pointers? What do you have to say on that side of being a healthy martial artist?
Well, I think it's looking at the big picture and all the different pieces in your life that can affect your training, because everything affects your training. And just as, your training affects everything in your life, like what you eat matters, your sleep matters, how you manage your stress or don't, it matters. All of that affects, your mindset and your ability to perform well and your ability to recover after a hard training session or a tournament. But there's like, it's difficult because there's so much information out there and we get overwhelmed by it. Like with nutrition in particular, there's so much information and there's so many fad diets. And, you maybe like you want to perform better or feel better, be healthy, prevent illness or disease, but you also want to manage your weight better. And so what do? Right? Do you go on some crazy diet? What do you do? And my nutrition background, I have a Bachelor of Science in dietetics, and then I have a certification as a sport and exercise nutrition coach through this really awesome company. It's called Precision Nutrition, and they focus on what they call deep health. And it's where you're not just narrowing in on one thing, but you're looking at all the different pieces and how they interplay. And it's not a really strict way of eating. It's about balance, and the emphasis really is on practicing the basics. Just like with martial arts, the most important thing is you got to build up that foundation, right? You need to practice the basics, and that affects everything else you do, as you go more advanced. And it's the same with your diet. If you're not practicing the basics, like there's no point worrying about counting calories or some fancy diet if you're not practicing the basics. Like if you're not getting meeting your basic nutritional requirements, for protein, for carbs, for fat, and your vitamins and minerals, that you don't have to worry about all the fancy stuff. Like you can actually improve your health quite easily and quickly by just making sure you get enough of everything and not worrying about the rest. And a big thing too is it's not just what we eat. There's actually a lot of studies have been done on this, that almost more importantly than what we eat is how we eat. And, it's, if you eat, like a lot of us we eat on the run, right? We're rushed, and maybe you're starving on the way home from work or the dojo, and you stop at a fast food place because you're really, really hungry and you want to get those calories in. And it's that kind of thing, that quick, fast, not paying attention, that really can wreak havoc on our diet. And if there's like two things, if you could only fix two things in your diet, I'd say the most important things are eating slowly and paying attention when you're eating. And those two things are huge. And I think a lot of people downplay that and they focus more on what they're eating. But if you can just slow down, sit down and pay attention and slow down for every meal, eat slowly. When you eat slowly, you get those signals to your brain that tell you you're full before you've overeaten, right? So you slow down, you'll already eat less if that's your concern, right? If you're overeating, want to lose weight or manage your weight, slow down, and your body will figure it out, and pay attention. And when we pay attention to what we're eating and how it feels in our body and how it tastes in our mouth, we start to discover that the things we thought we liked might not actually be what we like. Like I might think to myself, I really want that huge bag of chips from Costco. But when I actually pay attention to how it feels to eat that, my body might say, no, that's not actually that great. I actually wanted, a salad, or I only wanted a handful of chips, right? So when we pay attention as well as eat slowly, I think that can fix a lot of the problems in our diet.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and it really is the basics. It's like if you think about it in terms of martial arts, practicing the basics, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Like most people, unless your physique matters, like you have to do weigh-ins for competing or whatever, most people don't need to count calories and worry about food math in order to improve their diet and their health. Most people can just focus on getting enough protein and getting enough complex carbs and getting enough fruits and veggies and that kind of thing. And that's enough. And that's really all we need. And if we do that, as well as, eat slowly and pay attention, it'll usually, our diet will take care of itself.
And different things are going to work for different people, but common sense, like you said, just solid basics. I like how you're saying to eat slowly. There's a lot to that, as well as just taking that time to appreciate and be grateful, and not only taste the food, but let something digest, man. Just be cramming stuff down your mouth.
Oh yeah. Right? Instead of, and I've done it, lots of autopilot eating, where you're eating something and you're already thinking about the next thing that you're going to pick up and put in your mouth, and you're not paying attention to what's in your mouth. Right? You're eating Halloween candy. I do this, my kids still have leftover Halloween candy, but you're eating it and you're already thinking about what you're going to eat next and not enjoying what's in your mouth. Right. Yeah. And if we stop and pay attention to what's in our mouth and what we're doing now, we don't need all the rest of it. Right. Mm-hmm. And another piece with the nutrition is what studies have found is that, any diet, any type of diet can work, like whether it's paleo or keto, high carb, low carb, any diet can work as long as basic nutritional requirements are met. So it doesn't really matter. So some people might do really well on a high fat diet. Some people might do well on a low fat diet. And it really is figuring out what feels good for you and what works for you.
Yeah, because you'll hear debates, or, you can justify that belief, and you can have proven scientific facts on how you should not eat meat, and then how you should, and how this diet is better than that, or fasting or not fasting. And What about supplements?
Supplements? I mean, yeah,
Supplements?
like if you're eating well, you might not need them. But like for me, I do take a vitamin and mineral supplement because like I am prone to iron deficiency anemia. It's in my family, so I have to be mindful of that. And then I use protein powder because I want to build muscle. But you can meet most of your requirements. If you're paying attention, you can get most of it just from your diet. But I think like a basic vitamin mineral supplement, once a day is good for most people.
Yeah, but to supplement when you feel that you need, or to add a little bit of extra, but nothing's going to beat the real food. It's just, are you
The real
eating
food
real
is
food?
better. I think most of us though, like we are probably deficient in something like, vitamin D and sunlight and stuff like that. Like it's so having a basic vitamin mineral, a multivitamin is, totally good. Like
Hmm.
I do, my kids do, and then you don't have to worry so much.
Yeah, I've
Another thing with
always
diet, sorry, is what do you like eating? I think, we don't focus enough on that. What do you actually enjoy eating rather than what you should eat? What do you enjoy eating? Right.
Yeah, I tried vegetarian for a little bit, but I actually like meat. So,
Me too. It was the
you
same.
know,
When I was younger, I
so
was vegetarian. I actually felt really good apart from the iron deficiency. I felt really good as a vegetarian. I found I was more exploratory with my meal choices, but I missed chicken so much. So
right,
yeah,
right.
I like chicken.
Yeah, yeah.
so we talk about some diet, nutrition, basics. Without the mind and the mindset, none of that really matters, right? So,
100%.
what do we do as martial artists? And it's just humans, to have a stronger mindset to deal with the struggles, or to set things right upstairs. Your thoughts and your feelings become the things. But, what's your expression on that?
I think the mindset piece is huge, and it's we live up here, right? We do a lot of the time, and I think if you it's what I like to talk about is like all the struggles that people go through, and the big thing is, the big one is motivation, right? When we lose motivation, and how do we stay consistent with our training, and then we start overthinking and get into all or nothing thinking of, if I don't train all the time, it's not worth it. If I skip a session, I failed. And that all that stuff, like what we think affects how we behave, right? If they don't want to do something unless they're motivated, so they wait for motivation. But motivation is fickle, right? It comes and goes. And if you wait for motivation to hit, you might not ever do the thing. Like if you think, well, I want to try martial arts, but I'm going to wait till I feel really motivated and everything's perfect, you might never do it. And often it's taking action leads to motivation. You take action first, and then you see, wow, I did the thing, and I feel confident now. I did the thing and I made it happen, and now I feel motivated to continue, right? So I think a lot of it is getting away from this all or nothing thinking and back to like, no, if you can just take action, if you can take action with your training, if you can keep it small and simple, then you can build up some momentum in your training and in your practice.
Yeah, because people wait for something like New Year's resolutions. You visit the gyms in January, but
Yeah,
visit those same gyms in April. It
exactly.
declined. They lost the motivation.
And I
So
mean,
yeah,
it is motivating, right? Though, like, oh, New Year's, and it, like, we love that first of the year, first of the month, first of the week. But then what happens when we lose that
yeah.
motivation, right? Yeah.
You got to see the purpose, right? The results. Progress helps keep you happy. I heard of people trying to run. If they were a runner, they're just trying to get back in shape. Maybe they set their goal. They said, well, start with putting your running shoes on, even if you don't leave your house. It sounds
Exactly.
weird, right? But it's a small step.
I've
It's
done
something.
that. I've done
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Walk around with one shoe on and one in my hand. I've done that.
Yeah.
But it's that first step, right? That's the hardest part. It's the hardest part. Like I keep my workout clothes beside my bed. So that's what I put on first thing in the morning. And, sometimes I skip the workout, but, I figure, well, I already have them on, so I may as well do it. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's reducing friction, right? It's
Yeah.
all those obstacles that become mental obstacles. If we can just take those away, you're right. Like put your shoes on, or like wear your martial arts uniform in the house when you're just lounging around on a Saturday. Wear your uniform, And then after a while, you'll think, well, it's kind of dumb just to wear this and not train. I may as well train, right?
That's true. I mean, that's funny, but dude, whatever it takes, right?
Totally,
Just
totally, totally. And
do
it,
whatever
yeah.
it takes. You know, in martial arts, we have a built-in success cycle. We have the belts. We have rank. You know, like military. So if you can get there, then maybe there's a little more reason to stay because you have, you know, a stripe, you have a degree, you have a belt test, and you have a goal. If it's the black belt, and hopefully beyond, but that's a different topic there. Your podcast, the Karate Shrimp.
Yes.
What do you do there? What's it all about? I listened to a little bit. It was great stuff.
Yeah. So, well, first, like I started with YouTube, and then I just very recently, started with the podcast, and I'm taking my one weekly video and using the audio for the podcast. And so what I talk about on my channel and in the podcast is, well, when I started, my focus was really on, I was competing all the time, and I wanted to know all the different things to help me improve. And I was really excited. And even though like I was struggling with, my mom's cancer, which I went through a whole bunch of really tough stuff last year. I'll talk about that in a bit. But karate, competing in karate kind of gave me this purpose. And so I wanted to do all the things, like, what can I do to get better? Right. I wanted to know all the details. What can I fix? And so I thought, I'm going to start this, YouTube, and I started a blog and talk about all the different pieces. And, I always wanted to be a writer since I was young. And I thought I could bring in the writing piece and bring in my nutrition and my passion for martial arts. And, I realized, like, I actually, even though I was always really shy when I was young, but I love being on camera, and this shocked the heck out of me. And so bring in all the pieces and have a creative outlet. And so I started all this, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to make content for people like me who are, just wanting to get better, right? And wanting to know all the different things they can do to perform better in tournaments and belt tests. And then, but then I went through this really tough time last year where all of that kind of changed for me. Like, initially it was talking about all the different pieces, nutrition and everything. And then last year, like, I lost my mom, and there was this, tough stuff going on for my kids and their dad. And then I was dealing with a stalker at the dojo I was at, and it spiraled, and I had a police file going, and it got really, really stressful. And I ended up having a falling out with my sensei over it, and I quit the dojo. And so it was a huge, difficult year for me last year. And so my perspective with all of this kind of shifted, and I went from feeling like I was thriving with my training and, competing, to just surviving. Like, I just was focusing on survival mode, and I didn't feel like competing. And I mean, we didn't have any competitions at the time because of COVID. And I was training all the time and working at the dojo, but I was so overwhelmed that I was just focusing on getting through it. Right. And karate helped me so much with that. And I would talk about this stuff in my videos and in my blog. And, I was realizing how many people actually are struggling right now. And so my focus kind of shifted from, okay, we're all thriving, and how can we, be even better, to, well, no, wait, a lot of us are struggling. And how do we do all the things when we are struggling, right? And we can do the things. Like, I kept going with my training, and I, still, like, focused on my health, and I did all the things. I wasn't, super happy at the time, but I also knew, like, martial arts kind of taught me that I'm strong enough to handle this, and it helped me get through it. And so that's the stuff that I talk about now too, is a lot more of that mental stuff and our insecurities and the struggles people go through, and how can we stay consistent with our training even when life falls apart and goes to crap, right? So that's all the stuff that I've been talking about on my channel. And and with the podcast, I only have, I think, 10 episodes now. So I've been talking about that stuff too. And like, all the, like, common stuff, like, when you feel like you're not good enough, when you have imposter syndrome, or, people who, maybe they've taken some time off their training and they don't know how to get back into it. And so I like to talk about all of that stuff that, has affected me too. And I'm coming at it from a very personal place, where I'm opening up and sharing what I've struggled with. And because I think, we do need to talk about this stuff. We're not all warriors all the time, right? So that's all the stuff that I do talk about in my content.
That's great. That's great that you're you're open to do that, Sabrina. And I can already tell you seem very genuine. You can be vulnerable, but you're caring, and you have a good energy. So that good positive energy, I already know that you've impacted a lot of people by maybe just something small that you said.
It's
Yeah, that's
cool what we
awesome.
do, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it
it's
is.
yeah, and those, like
Yeah.
when you make those connections with people, I'm sure you've had that where someone reaches out to you and said, that was really cool what you said, or that really resonated with me. And you're like, oh wow, like that you
Yeah.
can develop those connections even online.
And when you didn't know that you were helping that person, or at least you didn't know you were helping that person in that way, maybe it was something small talk versus, where you have a meeting and it's a deep one-on-one and you're really there trying to help this person and things that were going on. But in the background or side note,
And I
Yeah.
think because with being like a content creator, right? Like sometimes you feel like you're throwing stuff out into the void. You have no idea if it's helping people and you want it to. That's why we do it, right? We're passionate about what we're doing and we want to, reach people. And so when you get that feedback, I think for us as creators of content, it really helps us to it helps us. Thank you.
Validation, right? Yeah.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
so what else do you have going on? How's everything there, and what do you have happening? Looking forward to in the near future.
Yeah, like with my channel, I'm focusing really now on just like consistency with uploading and trying to kind of expand my reach and create more connections with people. And I do have online courses that I sell. I have one in nutrition. It helps you, it's like basic stuff about improving your diet. And then I have some courses on improving your mobility. I've taken courses through NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, in like personal trainer cert and corrective exercise, mobility, that kind of stuff. So that's something like getting back to that, all the different pieces that affect our training. I want to get education in all the things so that I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to, just talk about stuff on my channel and it's going to potentially harm someone because it's not based on evidence or research, right? So I love learning too. So I keep taking all these courses, and right now I'm doing a coaching course. I actually won the course for free through my coaching company that I got my other certification through, and it's in sleep, stress management, and recovery. So I'm excited about that and bringing that piece in and being able to actually, know what I'm talking about, have important information that I can share with people about how to improve their sleep and how that affects their training and the stress management, what we can do about that. And recovery, I think, is huge for martial artists. So I'd like to make more online courses, and I'm debating different things. Do I want to teach online, like teach karate online, or do coaching online, one-on-one? I'm not sure where I'm going to go with all of that, but for now I'm focusing on just, building up my audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, keep kicking, keep doing it all. Sleep is an interesting one, right? Because it seems like, especially with an older generation, sleep is like frowned on, like you're made fun of, like you did something bad. It's like a sin, you
Yeah.
slept
Oh,
too
I know.
much, you lazy head, you this,
Yep.
that, right? I'm cool and productive. I'm a leader if I can go on 4 hours a night.
Totally. That
But it's not
productivity, right?
true.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And you hear some people, and there's some NBA players going opposite against that and talking about, man, how they want 10 hours of sleep and how good and positive it is. So to try to
Yep.
change the stereotype, that's really what it is, right?
Absolutely. And like where, your time is valuable and you don't want to waste any of it. And I struggle with getting enough sleep. Like I tend to get in that mindset of, oh, I have to get up early because I can't get everything done otherwise. But then I'm exhausted and I'm not focused.
Yeah.
I can't focus, right? So I'm like, for
Right.
me, I'm excited to learn this stuff because I want to change my habits, right? Because I know it's not smart. Like, and like you said, we have one life, right? We have one life and we want to feel as good as we can. And, that sleep, like, why not get more sleep? What's so bad about, like, yeah, you can be more efficient in your day if you get enough sleep. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't run your car without gasoline, right? You'll be on an empty tank,
it'll be
just
very difficult.
Yeah.
It'll be a
Yeah.
long, hard push.
Right. Right.
Well, what's some other advice you would like to, shout out there? What's some tips, some pointers on, it's that healthy lifestyle, I guess, that we're kind of talking about?
I think the big thing is about habits, and that, like, I think the all or nothing mindset is a big thing that Like I've talked to different people recently where they're, maybe they were sick and they felt really guilty about missing some training and they were going to go train anyway, even though they were sick, and things like that, where we're worried about losing our progress, and we feel like we have to train all the time where it's not good enough, right? And we're also worried that if we skip a session, it'll snowball and we'll, end up skipping a whole bunch of sessions. And there is that reality, but I think it comes down to the way we think about it. If we're thinking we have to be perfect all the time or we failed, that's going to affect us. So like if you skip a session, a training session at the dojo or at home, it's not a big deal, but when we give it significance in our head that, oh, I missed a session and that's going to become, 3 months of me not going to the dojo. It's like, well, that's that all or nothing thinking, right? That's that. It's not true. It's a lie in our head, right? Like one skip session is just one skip session and just get back to it the next day. And I think if we can take that significance that we give it away from it, then we can get away from that whole guilty thing and beating ourselves up and get back to it, because it really is about consistency, right? It's every day, just try and get a little bit better, right? Just improve your training a little bit, improve your diet a little bit, just one, like that 1% better every day. Like James Clear, he talks about that with Atomic Habits, and that 1% adds up, right? But 1% the other way, like if you get worse every day, like that builds the other way, right? So it's that if you can just make, be as consistent as you can, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can make mistakes, you can skip sessions, but don't beat yourself up, right? Just get right back at it and continue where you left off.
You can't change it when it's done anyway. So to dwell on that negativity, I didn't go to the gym all last week. Dude, that was last week. Let's go today. And you don't have 2 hours, go for 10 minutes. I mean,
exactly.
Right?
And that matters, right? And that 10 minutes might be awesome. You might feel great, right? It really, like that week, yeah, you're right. It's done. It's like with, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we overeat and we beat ourselves up. It really doesn't matter. It's done. Just get back to your normal way of eating when it's over, and it's all fine.
Yeah. Compound those results, right? Inch by inch is a cinch.
Exactly.
Well, Sabrina, I mean, if there's anything else you would like to add, I really enjoyed the conversation, and it's nice to meet you this way. And we have to stay in touch. So I want people to find you on the Karate Shrimp, the podcast and YouTube channel, and these courses you have. How do we find those?
Yeah, well, I have my website and blog. It's thekarateshrimp.com, and you go on there, and there's my blog, and then there's a link to my courses and link to my podcast and my channel, and it's all there.
I have to ask shrimp, where did that come from? I don't want to just assume.
Well, I'm 5'2". That's part of it.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, it was a nickname. My former sensei, he nicknamed me. They had a Japanese jiu-jitsu class and they were shrimping. I had left the class. I had to go home, and then he came up with a nickname at the time. It's like, okay, Sabrina's short and we're shrimping, and so I became the shrimp. And then I used that to, when I started my blog, I was racking my brain trying to think of what the heck am I going to call myself, and I thought the Karate Shrimp. Yeah.
I literally was like thinking it was either that you're short or it's your jujitsu move coming out.
A little both, but yeah,
it worked.
It works, right? I'm little.
Yeah.
Well, it's catchy, so it'll stay. Hey, well, good luck with everything in the future. I believe in you, and you're going to do awesome and amazing. And thanks so far for what you've done, Again, those little things with people here and there to let's all hope that we can, in a little way, make the world a better place, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Sabrina. We'll stay in touch, and I'll talk to you soon. You guys follow the channel and the information there. And, have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.